of course, yet another business day kick-starting. Of course, quite anticipations for the day, the best for the best, definitely making sure that we really make it better than yesterday. Of course, I officially welcome you to SmartMates. I'm Andrew Barigi, and of course, kick-starting off to ensure that we give you the latest of the updates, which are quite very key and quite influential when it comes to business decision making and implementation at the same time. But of course, we have quite lots of discussions that are yet to come up of the show. Very, very amazing, and we anticipate that there will be quite of a very great impact. But before we go any further, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform. At 8:15 a.m. they will be opening up 8:15 to 3:15 p.m. That is effective Monday to Friday. Start to 92 hash. This is the code definitely, which will avail you with quite lots of options. You can choose to buy the government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 you get in shillings. Of course, you can invest more than 15, but that's the minimum requirement. And you'll be able to buy company stocks and earn a profit at the end of the day. Zabo made this a reality. There is no more excuse as why you shouldn't own government bonds and company securities at the same time. So that's quite very, very essential for your profitability to earn a side income, and above all, being able to establish a side hustle which can act as a stable backup just in case your trade transactions did go as anticipated. That is throughout the week. So Zabo is in here to make sure that this is made a reality, that you can have quite huge sums of money on you. Zabo says my money, my future. And all Texas Africa says do something new. Well, now getting straight into our first update, definitely looking at approaching African markets through the African continental free trade area. And of course, recommendations on how best Ugandans can benefit. These are some of the discussions that we're going to be taking a look at this very time. Definitely, I'll be back for further discussions.
Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a good opportunity and discussion, but I see the realities of it still lie in future because of so many constraints that we haven't fixed in the past, and we are not about to fix them. When you look at the data, who are the biggest trading partners with Uganda globally? A little bit of India, a little bit of China, where we export. We're looking at where we send our goods. We're sending a lot of goods to United Arab Emirates, which is largely gold. Now, that doesn't require the kind of heavy infrastructure to move around. You come to Africa, it's Kenya, it is South Sudan, Sudan North, which is now in war, it's the DRC, Rwanda, and a little bit of Tanzania. So literally meaning that for the foreseeable future, Uganda should not even be talking about Africa. Our opportunity seems to be already within the regional countries, which is the EAC. And that's what we should be looking at, the East African community. Because for you to reach Nigeria, for you to reach Malawi, Zambia, I don't see them in the data. I've just been totaling up the data, which is the discussion we are going to have inside there, of what Uganda has exported to each of these countries over the last 15 years. Some of them for 15 years, you find the total sale is not even more than $23 million. Over 15 years. That's not a country to look at. So our opportunities are back to the East African region. So before you even talk about the Greater Africa, talk about the East African region. How can we consolidate this? The ones that need physical infrastructure, roads, waterways, bridges, railways, we should just concentrate on the region, which we already have an advantage on. Kenya, Sudan, DRC, Rwanda, a little bit of Tanzania. But even for this, the challenge seems to be more not on accessing the market, but rather production. Right now, we have the price of rice increasing heavily because of the demand for rice in the region, not just in Uganda. Now I hear government officials are trying to propose that we can import rice tax-free. You're not going to solve the problem. Because you bring it in Uganda, it will be bought by the Sudanese, it will be bought by the DRC people. They are all shopping here. So why don't we focus on increasing our own production? Because the trade opportunities within the region are immense. Start with that low-hanging fruit, even as conversations on Africa Free Continental Trade Area continue.
It's a very interesting debate, and we as SIATINI, we really welcome the youth, the universities engaging on this issue of the CFTA in particular, but also on the economy broadly. One issue which is really coming out is that the CFTA provides a lot of potential to create jobs, to increase production, to increase also intra-Africa trade. But what's coming out also is that this potential has to be turned into a reality, and there are things which needs to be addressed. For example, the issue of infrastructure. Even if you have products here, you need to be able to transport them either by rail, either by air, either by road. And when you look at our connectivity, it still has challenges. Even when you look at the East Africa, moving goods from Uganda to Kenya, because there is no railway line. So we need to address that, broadly, to make sure that even if you are taking your things to West Africa, there is a railway line, there are waterways. So we need to look at that as a continent, because as a continent, our infrastructure was linked to our colonial masters. You can move easily from here to Europe, than moving from here to West Africa or North Africa. And that's how colonialism was, but we need to change that. Another issue which has come out is the issue of production. We need products, both services and goods. We need to be able to have products which we put on the market, and this will require knowing what the market wants, and also ensuring that we produce the right quantity and the right quality. And that means that UNBS has to play a key role, and also Ministry of Trade in these negotiations. When you look at our budget today and the budget framework paper, Ministry of Trade has been given very little money. UNBS's budget has been cut, yet we are talking about trading. And by the way, to remind you, we have had so many markets. Europe, the European Union, told us bring everything but arms. We are yet to satisfy that market. We have the AGOA market, we haven't satisfied it. We have the tripartite, SADC, ES, COMESA, huge market, we haven't satisfied it. So we need to look at inwards in Uganda to see what are those products which we can put on the market, and also be able to mobilize people to be able to produce those.
Trying to give us an insight on how best you can approach the African markets, that is through the African Continental Free Trade Area. Well, I think this could be one of the ways to also have some sort of liberty when it comes to economic liberty. She mentioned something earlier, looking at the colonial aspect, whereby it's harder for you to travel from one region, for example, the eastern region, and you head towards the western region, but it's quite easier for you to actually leave the eastern region and go to other countries away from Africa. That is quite not fair if we are to achieve economic independence at the same time. And African Free Trade Area is quite a vital market and a vital ground to ensure that all this is really fulfilled to the maximum. Well, away from that now, let's cross over to what's making headlines into the print media in here. What's happening in the press? Of course, I have the New Vision and the Daily Monitor, but firstly, let's review what's happening in the New Vision firstly, as we keep on seeing what business is in here, and some other related social aspect, social related topics and political economic that are political economic in nature. Well, of course, on the New Vision top page here, we see districts get cash, yes, for roads. Quite very interesting. And of course, still in here further, we see about 208 Ugandans evacuated from Khartoum in Sudan, where the conflict is currently taking off quite so much. Now, on the page 2 here, fresh floods hit Kasese again. Of course, this is a very absurd and quite lots of, very important property lost in here as a result of the floods. Yes, and of course, it's an area known for that. But now with the current rains that are really taking place lately, it's quite inevitable. Of course, we see that communities living astride a river, that is Nyamwamba in Chanzuki, Chirembe Valley, yes, in there, in Bolembia. Kasese municipality remain isolated after fresh floods washed away their only bridge. So that is quite not very sad. The bridge is washed away, so there is no way they can transact from one other end to the other. Of course, you can still find a way to get to the other side, but it's making trade harder in the area and delaying money transfer at the end of the day. And well, we see here of course, the US movie streaming platform, that is Netflix, is fast making Uganda a favorite destination. And that is for its recent addition of the Ugandan chimp empire to its catalog of films. Well, you could check it out, and that's quite a positive PR for the country. You know what it means to appear on the Netflix when you stream in there. I mean, majority of the world is all looking up to you. It's a global platform, so a film on Uganda's chimps tops Netflix, and it's being included on the catalog in there. All right, now still here we see the First Lady hails Algeria's scholarship project. Of course, the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sport, Miss Janet Museveni, has appreciated the partnership between Uganda and the Algerian government, of course, and the scholarship program that has benefited several Ugandan students, that is for over the last 30 years. Yeah, so this is quite a very key aspect in terms of, providing the necessary education skills, of course, to enable our population attain those corporate and well experienced aspect, when they get this education. So a partnership between Algeria and Uganda to offer scholarships to those that are, to go and do further studies and better. All right, now still we see that fraudsters target land title replacement. Still here in the New Vision, we see that the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development has warned of fraudsters taking advantage that is of the replacement process for the lost titles. So you have to be quite very careful regarding that. Now down here, we take a look at 200 Ugandans evacuated from Sudan. Of course, it was a sigh of relief on Sunday as 4 buses carrying 208, that is a Ugandan evacuees, set off from the Uganda's embassy at Garden City in Khartoum for 761 kilometers. And of course, that is when they're heading towards Ethiopia. So you can take a look at that. It's quite very incredible. Oh yes, I understand how it feels like for you to be in a war zone. Just in case you have ever been in a war zone, you know what it means when you actually set free at the end of the day. It's quite it's speechless, let me say that. All right, now still here, as we continue here, I'll see suspected attackers, of course, riding borders arrested over robbery. Yeah, of course, it's now this calls for being vigilant for you people out there as you're walking, of course, seeing such cases. He could be a victim of that. Suspected attackers raiding border borders arrested. That is over robbery. All right, now Mukono Technology Center to retool youth annually. Yeah, of course, the Mukono District Best Technology Innovation and Business Incubation Center, which is nearing completion, is expected, of course, to provide practical specialized skills to 250 youth per intake. And, of course, the targeted youth are those that have graduated and but are unable to find jobs. So quite very key aspect in the tech sector, seeing that the possible opportunities in there. All right, for the sake of time, 17 minutes past 7. Let me cross over to the Daily Monitor. Shortly, in about 3 minutes, we shall be traveling to Wandegea to see what's happening there, taking a look at the traffic atmosphere at that very area. All right, now on the Daily Monitor on the top page, we'll take a look at Congolese police takeover. That is the Ugandan villagers, of course, following that conflict into the country. And of course, we still see police arrest over 37 medical interns over, of course, strike. Yeah, the striking again. Police had to come out and arrest 37 of them. Of course, they were saying way back, some time back, like a month ago, demanding for payments. And now again, they striked. Police decided to arrest them. All right, now still in here, we'll take a look at city potholes. Of course, MPs tour the roads. Also, shall be having that further discussion into our insight and on-ground discussions about MPs on ground regarding this very matter. Of course, 37 medical interns arrested over protest. Now, police in Wandegea yesterday arrested 37 medical interns who claimed, of course, the government was taking its sweet time to deploy them. So they're saying the government doesn't really mind. It's taking its own time to employ us. Well, I mean to deploy us rather. So things are not working out as they anticipated. All right, now still taking a look here. The black gold. Yes, the black gold inside the commercial charcoal trade in Acholi. Of course, you'll be finding out more. Why is it called the black gold? Yeah, the commercial, that this is inside the commercial charcoal trade in Acholi. This is a special report. You'll be checking it out in the Daily Monitor for further insights about that. Well, now, still here, we'll take a look at 900 city schools. Of course, do not have licenses. 900 city schools actually don't have licenses. Why is it so? And we'll be finding out more of those details regarding that. Of course, finally, Minister Nandu to bail hearing set for May 3rd. Well, that is it for the press. And now let's travel to Wandegea and take a look at what's happening with the traffic atmosphere. I know majority of the people, you could probably be planning to, you coming in from those areas, and you will be passing via the Wandegea route. So it's important to understand what is it like. Now, of course, our eyes just right now, I will take a look at the Makere route, one of the most heavily congested routes when we take a look here. Due to the massive traffic lights on that road. Of course, on the Sir Apollo Junction there, you'll find one. In the Makere main gate, you find traffic lights, and also down here. But according to the look of things, it doesn't seem to be much congested. There is that look when you just glimpsed on it. But you see, the reasons why it doesn't look congested is because the traffic lights on the main gate have released the vehicles, but now the main traffic lights here at the junction are holding back the vehicles. So in the middle there, it causes some sort of a congestion. So definitely, if you plan to come to town, or you're heading to any other destination, but you might link up to probably this junction, and you're planning to use the Makere road, probably coming in from areas like Kasubi, you're coming in from areas like Namungona, and yes, you plan to pass via that. Well, you might be delayed slightly, though today it's not heavily congested as most of other times we've observed, but it is still congested. You might need still to get quite a better alternative, which will enable you to reach in the required time. But if you're not having quite a very tight schedule, it's a jam worthy waiting for. It's actually moving smoothly, though still it's congested in a way. So if you're coming in from Kasubi, you're coming in from Namangona, and you feel like it's urgent, you could probably find another alternative, or you could grab a border for you to be in position to reach in time. Now, of course, taking a look at the vehicles coming in from Kampala, connecting, some are going to head towards the Makerere route, some are continuing through to connect to the Mulago roundabout and connect to Kamocha. Well, quite held in there. But in most cases, vehicles that are coming in from town heading to these other sides of town, the suburbs, they're not mainly affected by traffic as compared to those that are leaving those suburbs coming to town. Yeah. So taking a look at Kampala Road, yes, it's quite, most especially for the people that are coming in from Kampala and they're heading towards Makerere route, you're heading towards Wandega, like I said. Yeah, it seems a little tight. Yeah, it seems a little tight. You might be delayed a little bit to come. And of course, taking a look at the vehicles that are coming in probably from Bombo Road. Yes, some are coming in from Makerere Road and the Bombo Road. Yeah, you can take a look at in there. They seem to be moving, but in the middle, somewhere, they're stuck. There is a slight congestion there. So that can be quite influential when it comes to, reaching in the right time that you had planned initially. So that is the situation as we observe it there. Yes, vehicles coming in from Kampala, you can take a look. Coming in from Kampala and they're heading towards Wandega side. Yeah, it's quite a little bit congested actually. Yes, there is some sort of a mild congestion there, and majority being public vehicles. Probably people leaving town heading towards this side for work-related issues in most cases. Of course, Wandega is one of those. Yes, it's residential, and at the same time, it's a workplace. They are quite work, but it's not really slightly congested. Just that the vehicles are held in there. But if you're coming from town and you're coming to Wandega, yes, right now it's very fine for you. You can't be. It's the congestion is not tight. It's what they're waiting for. It's what they're waiting for. The same applies to the Makerere route. The congestion is what they're waiting for. It's not as worse as the previous days when it's all the way congested from the top of the hill down here. At least we can see some movement of vehicles in there moving towards the different destinations. Now let's switch our eyes over to the Bombo route. The Bombo route, of course, we're talking about people coming in from areas like Kalere, Boise, and you're planning to come to town. Yeah, according to the look of things, of course, the vehicles have just been released, but we need to first clearly observe whether after they are being stopped, there is no huge fleet left there. So you can imagine all these have been held in jam and they've just been released. I think that explains how a bit congested that place is, despite the fact that the vehicles are moving, but once they are held, it's a thick fleet. So it wouldn't be friendly for any person that is just setting off from Boise, you're just setting off from Kalere, you come into town, and you probably plan to use the Bombo route. Probably it would be better you find another alternative, but the Bombo route seems congested this cold morning today, according to the look of things here. So you could find quite another alternative. Many border borders here, taking a look. Traffic officers in full control of the traffic to ensure that there is massive observation of the traffic rules here. Not so many passers-by, pedestrians, border borders there, but being put in display. Now, this is the route that connects to Mulago, of course, linking all the way to the roundabout. Now, for the people that are coming in from Mulago, it's quite a double, it's a double congestion. Here it might seem a little bit free, but the roundabout, in most cases, is congested at a bigger perspective. So if you're coming in from Kamocha and you plan to come to town, I would advise you to find another best route to connect you. If the Nakawa, if you can pass via Ntinda, you connect to Nakawa and you feel like it might be faster, well, it's okay. But also this side, if you plan to pass by the Wandegia route, it also seems to be a little bit quite tight for you if you're coming in from Wandegia and Kamocha at the same time, and you plan to come to town and execute the different business that you ought to execute. Well, 27 minutes past 7, and that is it for the traffic updates this morning. Let's get into a short break, and we shall be returning with further business discussions. Good morning.
Smart24 Driving Business.
The Uganda Development Corporation is a government-owned investment firm tasked with promoting Uganda's industrial and economic development.
Soroti Fruit Factory is our flagship project. Its aim is to grow that business of adding value to fruits in this country. This country is endowed with a lot of resources. NADSO WC have been supplying inputs to farmers. The inputs are reaching a period where we need to add value. Talk about fruits, we are going to have a challenge if we don't move fast with the value addition component. So Soroti Fruit Factory is meant to address this gap, to process fruits, and mainly oranges and mangoes.
The Soroti Fruit Factory and Teju products are valid certification permits of UNBS because we renew them after 1 year.
Our membership are normally primary cooperatives, and we have 59 primary cooperatives. But when you translate that into individual membership, we have close to 6,000 members. Our area of coverage is very large. We cover 10 districts. We have estimated 80 million fruiting trees in Teso. And every season, we have 2 seasons, first season and second season. First season, we normally get around over 800,000 tons. That's why you find, the farmers have to look for other markets like in Kenya, Rwanda, and sometimes Southern Sudan.
We must clearly understand the aspect of a cooperative. A cooperative is a voluntary organization formed by members for the members, and it is democratic. They carry out their own decisions on how to perform. But for me, particularly the Soroti Fruit Factory was initially supposed to assist Soroti fruit growers. So what happens is that the government, in its wisdom, made a partnership. We organized the Soroti fruit growers into a cooperative society. This was an opportunity for them to come together. You produce differently, but you'll be able to market it together.
We are in a race for development with other nations. This UDC is one hell of an ammunition that we can use for our country. So, but we need to oil the ammunition. UDC and government and private sector, let's get our act together.
We are also the biggest makers of concentrate, orange concentrate and mango pulp in the country. For oranges, we buy Hamolin, Washington Navel, Valencia.
We used to bring it fully from import. Now part of this import we substituted with the Soroti orange. Like that,